The human flag is one of those calisthenics moves that truly earns the title gravity defying. But with consistent practice and smart training, it's absolutely within reach. In this video, I'll show you how to perform the flag on both parallel bars and a straight bar, and include a few tips and tricks I've learned along the way. With that, let's dive right in. Now, if you want to know what specific progressions I followed to learn the human flag, honestly, I didn't really follow any. I never had a step-by-step calisthenics plan mapped out. What I did have was a solid strength base built from years of consistent weight training. I'm no gymnast either. I didn't do this when I was young. I couldn't do this move until I was 47 years old. When I was younger, I tried to lift as heavy as possible, and I'd keep my body weight up higher than it really needed to be honest. Over the last few years, however, my training goals have shifted. I'm no longer chasing max bench numbers or trying to lift as heavy as possible every workout. Now, don't get me wrong, I still do plenty of lifting, just for higher reps, not as much weight. And I've leaned into calisthenics, focusing more on body control, skills-based strength, and mastering moves like the human flag. Lowering my body weight played a huge role too. I mean, if you're too heavy, it's not an easy move to do. Even when you are light, it's not easy, much less when you're heavier than you need to be. So instead of doing progression exercises, I would practice swinging up to the side between two parallel bars, spaced apart just right to where my upper arm could do the pulling and my lower arm could do the pushing. Eventually, I was able to hold the human flag and go from there. Having the prerequisite shoulder, back, and core strength is integral to pulling off this movement. It takes a full body split routine done consistently to hit every muscle group. One of the biggest challenges with the human flag is finding the right place to actually do it. If you train at a typical commercial gym, chances are there's not a dedicated human flag station just sitting there waiting for you. You're going to have to get a little inventive. At one gym I go to, I use a rack and set up two bars parallel to each other at the right distance apart. That spacing gives me enough room to comfortably get into position and hold the flag. For grip, I take an overhand grip with my top hand to pull and an underhand grip with the bottom hand to push. That combination gives me the opposing force I need to lock in the hold. At another gym, I found a rack that has a vertical straight bar section built into the frame. That bar works perfectly for the straight bar version of the human flag, which I find a lot tougher since it's harder to push against. With the straight bar, you use the same grip setup, overhand on top, underhand on bottom. One issue I ran into with the straight bar version of the human flag is grip slippage, especially with my bottom hand. The surface just isn't very grippable, and when you're trying to push hard with that bottom arm, even a little slip can throw everything off. To fix that, I started wrapping a small resistance band around the bar right where my bottom hand grips. It gives me a bit of texture and friction so I can push more confidently without worrying about sliding off. It's a small tweak, but it makes a huge difference, especially on a smoother metal surface that doesn't offer much grip. Form is everything when it comes to the human flag. It isn't just about brute strength, it's about control and total body tension. When I'm holding the human flag, here's what I focus on. I focus on pulling hard with the top arm, using those lat and upper back muscles, pushing hard with the bottom arm, using those shoulders and triceps, and keeping the body as straight as possible, staying tight through the core, glutes, and legs. You have to imagine your entire body as one solid plank and try not to sag or twist at all. Once you're strong in the human flag hold, you can play around a bit to make it more challenging. One thing I like to do is to bend slightly upward through the top side, which creates a mini oblique crunch while in that position. It's a small move that turns the hold into a more of a dynamic challenge and hits the side core even harder. It's subtle, but you'll definitely feel the difference. I've also started experimenting with ankle weights to make the human flag even tougher. I began with 2 or 3 pounds on each leg, which was enough to feel a noticeable difference without breaking down my form. After getting used to that, I worked up to the full 5 pound capacity that each ankle weight holds. I've even tried to add a 3 pound dumbbell or a 5 pound plate using the ankle weight straps to add them. To be honest, with that much weight, I can only really swing up and hold it for a second, if that, before getting pulled right back down. It's humbling, but also fun to test your limits. The bottom line, resistance can be added to just about anything, and the human flag is no exception. If you want to keep progressing, loading the movement is a great way to push your strength and stability even further. After talking about adding resistance, let's flip it, because one of the best ways to make the human flag easier is by reducing your own body weight. The truth is, the heavier you are, the harder this move becomes. In fact, for many people, carrying too much extra weight makes the human flag nearly impossible, no matter how strong you are. Of course, your training goals matter here. If you're focused on max strength and moving serious weight in the gym, that's totally valid. But if you ever get to a point where you want to dive into calisthenics, like I did, then shedding excess body fat becomes a big advantage. Moves like the human flag are all about leverages and control, and lowering your body weight makes a massive difference in both. For me, eating clean and cutting back on alcohol were two of the biggest changes I made to lean out. When it comes to learning the human flag, the work happens long before you ever hit the bar. I didn't get there just by practicing the move. I built the strength through years of consistent training and a mix of targeted accessory work. Here are some movements that really helped me along the way. They include dragon flags, which are one of my favorite core exercises. They build full body tension and teach you how to stay rigid, just like the human flag does. Also, there's side planks and weighted side plank raises. Side planks train deep core stability, and the weighted raises hit the obliques really hard. Both carry over directly to the lateral core strength you need for the human flag. There's also the weighted side raises on a slanted hyperextension bench, which I believe is very underrated. I use a plate or a dumbbell and raise up sideways on the hyperextension bench, really stretching the obliques and getting a strong contraction in them at the top of every rep. They're great for building oblique strength with full range of motion. There's also just dead hangs from the bar to get your grip stronger. Pull ups, which are basic but essential. I do many variations: wide, neutral, archer, even weighted ones. They've helped me develop the pulling strength I rely on for the top arm during the human flag. And of course, there's shoulder training for the pushing side of it. Train with overhead presses and lateral raises, and many more shoulder exercises. All of these movements work together to build the strength, control, and resilience you need to perform a human flag and to hold it with confidence. So that's how I've gotten to this point with the human flag, from bar setup to grip tricks to adding resistance, dropping body weight, and all the accessory work in between. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more training tips, tutorials, and strength and calisthenics focused content just like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.